Emergency. Bogies approaching. All interceptors scramble now. Repeat. Bogies. All interceptors scramble immediately.
Ready for taxi. Right alarm, check. Release brake. Compass open, coordinates set. Translator ready for launch. All systems green. See you later. Good luck.
When the Sega CD was released in the early 90s, it promised a new frontier in gaming, one where storage limitations could be shattered, and developers could experiment with cinematic experiences. Among the early titles that attempted to showcase this potential was Silpheed, a vertical-scrolling shoot-'em-up developed by Game Arts and released by Sega in 1993 for the North American market. While shoot-'em-ups were already a familiar genre by this time, Silpheed distinguished itself by blending traditional arcade action with innovative use of the Sega CD's hardware, creating one of the system's most memorable titles. Silpheed was not an entirely new property. The game originated in 1986 as a home computer title for platforms like the PC-88, but the Sega CD version reimagined it with vastly expanded scope. What had once been a straightforward space shooter became a showcase of what CD storage could offer, with full-motion video backgrounds, cinematic cutscenes, and an immersive soundtrack that brought the intergalactic war against alien invaders to life. The story, while not groundbreaking, added a layer of drama uncommon in earlier shooters. Players piloted the Silpheed spacecraft against the terrorist Xacalite and his alien allies in a desperate attempt to save humanity. The narrative was delivered through voiced radio chatter and animated sequences, giving the game a sense of urgency and cinematic flair that felt novel at the time. At its core, Silpheed adhered to familiar shoot-'em-up mechanics. The player guided their ship vertically across the screen, dodging enemy fire and projectiles while firing back with an arsenal of weapons. Progression through the game rewarded players with new power-ups and ship upgrades, adding a sense of strategy and progression beyond pure reflexes. What truly set Silpheed apart was its visual presentation. Instead of static backgrounds or parallax scrolling, the Sega CD version featured pre-rendered polygonal environments played as full-motion video beneath the action. While the player's ship and enemy craft were rendered in real time as sprites, the illusion of flying through vast 3D space battles was striking for its time. Asteroids tumbled, massive enemy fleets loomed, and planets scrolled majestically below, all giving the impression of participating in a galactic war rather than a simple arcade session. The audio design, too, benefited from the CD format. Orchestral-style music accompanied each mission, lending a cinematic weight to battles. The inclusion of digitized voices for mission control and allied pilots further immersed players in the unfolding drama. This level of presentation helped Silpheed feel like more than just another shooter. It was an experience. While Silpheed was sometimes criticized for limited interactivity, the FMV backdrops were non-interactive and sometimes made it harder to read enemy fire. The game was widely admired for its ambition. It represented the kind of next-generation leap that Sega wanted its CD add-on to embody. Critics praised its graphics and sound, with some even comparing its cinematic aspirations to Star Wars. Though it never achieved mainstream blockbuster status, Silpheed holds a special place in gaming history. It demonstrated the possibilities of CD technology and influenced later developers to think more cinematically about game presentation. Game Arts would go on to create sequels, including Silpheed, The Lost Planet on PlayStation 2. But the Sega CD installment remains iconic for its pioneering use of FMV and audio. Silpheed on the Sega CD stands as both a product of its time and a vision of gaming's future. It combined the twitch reflexes of classic arcade shooters with the spectacle of interactive cinema, creating an experience that was ambitious, memorable, and uniquely tied to the hardware it showcased. For Sega CD owners, it was a defining title that justified the add-on's promise of arcade-quality home entertainment. For gaming historians, Silpheed remains a landmark in the evolution of the shoot-'em-up genre in the early days of cinematic gaming.
Assembled all their forces to strike at Xacalite. 64 light years lay across their way to the solar system. After drastic restructuring and the addition of reinforcements to the tactical fighter spacecraft, the SA-77 Silpheed, their last resort, the remaining fleet began the counterattack. Their destination? The mother planet, Earth.